Happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to NASCAR Inside the Playoffs. I'm Shannon Spake. We have a great show lined up for you today, including an appearance by driver of the number 20, Christopher Bell. But first, let's go inside the headlines. The Roval played its part on Sunday, taking the field from 12 drivers to the Elite 8. We're going to catch you up on how an event after the checkered flag turned everything upside down. But here's no surprise. Kyle Larson won his 6th race of the season in dominating fashion, celebrated with his daughter. We're going to discuss that and the NASCAR circuit this weekend heading to Las Vegas. Lucky or not, the winner could find himself in position to win the title. We'll explain what we mean by that coming up next on NASCAR Inside the Playoffs. Hey, everyone. Welcome into another wild week in the NASCAR playoffs. I'm Shannon Spake, Daytona 500 winning crew chief Steve Letarte, insider Mamba Smith. And look who is here with us today.
Hey.
One Parker Kligerman, driver, the number 48 in the Xfinity Series. We're going to talk about your weekend because there's a lot to talk about with your weekend. But first, as we get ready for the round of 8, this is when you can really feel the anticipation and the excitement and the stress kind of ramp up.
Definitely. I mean, this is when the pressure ratchets up. This is when the performance has to come out from your race team. If you want to be a part of the Championship 4, this is when you make it happen in the round of 8. Also, I just want to say I feel very honored to be in this position because I'm pretty sure Carl Edwards sat in this seat. So I feel like I'm just trying to, gravitate some of that onto my way.
Kyle Busch did as well.
Kyle Busch.
And, who else? We've had a lot of people.
A lot of winners. Legends of the sport have been here. I feel
and Parker Kligerman.
A lot of winners in that seat.
And ones that have come close.
How many races have you won in the Xfinity Series?
I'm a Cup guy only. I'm only Sundays.
This is the time where things get exciting, though, right?
Well, you're closer to your goal. Parker said it. The pressure ramps up, but that's because now you can see it. One win, and you're in the championship race. A win, and you advance. And I think that's what makes the pressure higher is because you've got through, when you get in the round of 16, you don't want to be eliminated. Right. Then in the round of 12, you think, man, we're better than this. But then in the round of 8, I think instead of trying to not make mistakes, Mamba, now it's time you have to earn a spot in the championship race. It's time to go from protecting and defense to offense.
100%. I think round 1 is about execution. Just don't kill yourself. Right? Round 2, you got to kind of be aggressive to get in there. And now we're to the round where you got to win.
Yeah.
Like, if you think that you can just point your way in. Now, one team will point their way in because there's 3 races and 4 spots. But if you attack it that way, I don't think it's the right way to go. You got to go for this dub.
And I think we're all in agreement that this is one of the toughest round of 8s or field of 8s that we've seen in a long time. We'll get to all of that coming up later on the show. But first, the Roval in Charlotte certainly set the stage for the elimination race. It kept drivers, fans, teams, everyone on their toes from the green flag and beyond.
This is fighting to stay alive in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Whoa! Alex Bowman, that just launched. The stage 1 winner got jammed up. The rear tire's lacked up. He's out of control. Boom, right there into the 11 car.
Flat, might be totaling too. Normal stop, look at the right rear.
Problems for Chase Briscoe. Right rear down.
This will be quick. They'll be going green the next time. We just got to get it on track before they take the green.
Alex Bowman has won the 2nd stage.
Allmendinger out in front. Larson will get right to his bump. Oh, he's loose. That was a great move. That was maximizing every bit of speed. Logano to the good. Reddick still on the chase. He is coming.
Tyler Reddick's car has come to life at the perfect time. Joey Logano fading.
Hamlin gives him room.
Everything from here on out's a buffer.
For the 2nd time in his career, Kyle Larson wins at the Roval.
Tyler Reddick is going to get the final spot in the round of 8.
Joey Logano, heartbreaking not to make the next round.
Unfortunately, the 48 had an issue, did not meet minimum weight, and that ends up in a disqualification.
Womp, womp, womp. All right, that's how it pretty much sounded if you were in the 48 camp for Alex Bowman. Take a look. This is the NASCAR playoff standings for the round of 8. Prior to the announcement that the 48 did not pass post-race inspection, you see Joey Logano on the outside, Alex Bowman in. Let's flip that, why don't we? Because Alex Bowman was disqualified. His 18th place finish did not count. Joey Logano then finds himself in the Elite 8, headed to Vegas with another shot. Energy, right? Energy for that 22 team. But I want to talk specifically about Alex Bowman. In NASCAR, we have a pre-race inspection and we have a post-race inspection. Walk me through what can, how is there a disconnect from one to the next?
Let's walk into the rule book. So there is a pre-race inspection where the majority of the car is inspected. Post-race, the list is much smaller. Not everything on the car is checked again. Some things can't change. One thing that can easily change is the weight. And I actually think this is going to be the easiest one to describe of all NASCAR penalties because everyone can understand weight. A lighter car is better. You want it to be lighter. It's easier on the tires. It goes faster. For that reason, every car on the grid has a minimum weight that they have to meet before the race. Knowing there'll be wear and tear, potentially some damage, there's a different weight after. It's a 0.5%. It's about 20 pounds. Simple math, you could be about 20 pounds lighter after the race. You're allowed to put the fuel back in the car. There's a lot of questions about that. And then you have to meet minimum weight. The team knows that. The 48, after multiple attempts, were not able to meet the minimum weight. They put fuel in the car. NASCAR, under their discretion, even let them add some water, thinking maybe they had lost some water through the weight, so that would make the car lighter. They were too light after the race. This is no different than a heavyweight fighter missing the weight, at weigh-in before a fight. So for that reason, his Charlotte race was a disqualification. That makes him last. That only gives him 1 point for Charlotte, and therefore he's not in the top 8. He's out of the playoffs. Hendrick Motorsports said, hey, we might appeal. They have the right. They looked at it. Nothing to appeal. They owned it. They said we were too close to the limit, and for that reason, it's now moving forward. Joe Logano in, Bowman out.
That's what the playoffs does, though. That's what this is. I mean, they're pushing so hard. Blake Harris.
That little bit, right?
Every little bit matters, and you're trying to get every little bit. And this is probably not something that they just did for this week. They've probably been towing that line for a while and maybe just stepped up across it, trying to get in the round of 8 because they've had such a good run. And I'm absolutely gutted for 48 for Alex Bowman because in the midst of rumors of him not having his job, and at the playoff media day and everyone talking about it, and he has the best run of any playoff driver, and then something that's completely out of his control takes him out after he did his job and still got his way into the round.
And to bring, just to go deeper into that, his performance, I mean, he rose up in every category. Whether it was qualifying, which was a thing that the 48 team has struggled with for the last 2 years, they started to see progress there. Back right at the end of the summer, right into the playoffs, they scored stage points. They were incredible in scoring stage points in the first 2 rounds. I mean, in every facet, he rose up and found performance. But this is a team sport, right? And Steve, you know this. We as the drivers, we get a lot on our shoulders and we get a lot of the fanfare, but there's a whole team behind you that have to make all sorts of decisions, whether it's from the setup of the car, how the car is built, to the pit crew that's on pit road. All those things matter. But I think when he looks at this playoff run, yes, this is brutal. It hurts. He can say he did his end of the job. He rose up and found performance when it mattered to give them a chance to go fight for a championship. And I believe if they had not had this happen, we'd be sitting here saying, that car is a legitimate championship 4 contender that could go win this championship.
So the only thing I'll add, because a lot of fans want, why push it so close? Why risk the chance of being light? So crew chiefs live in this unnerving, uncomfortable situation. I equate it to this. Every one of us have driven down the highway at what we think is a reasonable amount over the speed limit, and you pass that cop, and you look in your mirror, and you have that pit of the
I just did it this morning.
And you look up, right, and you know that uncomfortable feel where you're like, please don't pull out. Please don't pull out.
Yes,
every crew chief in the garage lives in that uncomfortable feeling in every part of the car. If you don't toe right on the line, if you don't take every ounce of every part, every pound of every car, every 1/10 of an inch on every body panel, then you never win at the Cup Series. Drivers have to take the risk behind the wheel, and crew chiefs have to take the risk putting the car out there. That's why some of us have switched to TV. Man, you feel way better. There's no nerves in TV.
That's why he's wearing a cardigan and not a radio.
That's right. It's great.
The retirement looks good on you. It looks great.
So to your point, while the team is taking the credit, as they should, it was their mistake. So the onus of legality is on the team. At the same time, they're gutted because there was some sort of mistake. We don't know what it is. It doesn't matter.
No.
The simple fact is it takes hundreds of men and women to put that car on the racetrack, and this small miss, which is big enough, that's what's going to end their playoff hopes.
Okay, living in the uncomfortable is something that Tyler Reddick, as we switch gears to another driver who did advance this weekend, he was living in the uncomfortable at the Roval this past weekend because it was a tough race. So he has a contact with his team owner, by the way.
Poetry right there.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin. Poetry? Is that what that is? I mean, I was like,
you couldn't script it. Yeah, it's scripted.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan's back there going, what just happened? I thought was for sure when Denny walked up to him post-race, you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen here? But he did have some contact. However, they were able to get that car righted. They did have to it took them the entire race. He finished just outside the top 10 and advanced. But how do you stay in that mindset when you know something something goes wrong, but you still have to get to the finish line.
Well, I think it's just this was a heroic performance by Tyler Reddick to be in that position. You know, the first stage goes great, goes to plan. Now he has to come back to the field. He gets involved in this incident with his team owner, by the way, which is just,
Poetic.
I mean, what is like poetry? And then he, you know, has a damaged car and finds a way to extract performance from that car, which is so tough to do because what he had to do in that race car, and I promise to the viewers out there who have not driven race cars, it may look easy, but it's not. And then you add in where the car is now different. So now all his preparation has had to be changed. He has to change how he's tackling the track, where he's making speed, how he's making performance in that race car. And that's where I just looked at this performance and thought, that's heroic. Like, that's incredible. He was able to do that and find ways to drive back to the field, to pass cars, and get themselves back in a position when the pressure was on. When we were getting down late in that race, and it's like, hey, man, you need to make another spot. You just got to find it. I don't know where, but find it. Yep. He did it, and that's why I think this was a really heroic performance, that he put that car on his back and made it happen.
More than just the driver, though, Mamba. I mean, the team made some heavy repairs.
Yeah, they did their thing, and they came down, took their time, made the right repairs. You talk about pressure. I don't think there's any more pressure than having Michael Jordan sitting behind you in your ear as he is with Billy Scott, and he's in it, right? Michael
you
is
can feel
so
him
happy.
breathing.
I'm just
right?
and then Tyler stepping up and having a gritty performance and making it happen while MJ's sitting there. That's unfathomable pressure that I don't know if I could be able to handle.
What I loved is the style. So they get in the damage, they repair the damage, they're too slow, and then they get the car kind of as good as it's going to be. And then Billy Scott, who's the crew chief, basically the head coach of the race team, says on the final caution there with about 25 to 28 laps to go, we're going to come down, we're going to put tires on. This right here is Billy Scott throwing Michael Jordan the ball. This is like, hey, Tyler Reddick, you're the star. You're the guy. You're the driver. We've done all we can do. We've believed in you all year long, but with our playoff hopes on the line, we don't want you racing on defense. We don't want you in your mirror. I'm going to give you some fresh tires. And then I'm going to lean back.
And let you go.
Hopefully the guy behind me passed me on my shoulder like it's a good decision. Good job. But in the end, I've said this before, there's nothing that frustrates me more than when you take the ball out of the star's hand. Tyler Reddick is the star. Let him show everybody why his name would be on the championship trophy if he could pull it off. And then Tyler Reddick did it, leapfrogging his way through the field.
And Tyler Reddick, like, at this point, like, they weren't free-falling, but they were, like, hit or miss. They weren't hitting on all 8 cylinders. The confidence that that's going to put into him, that they gave him that opportunity, I think is massive, and that might be a defining moment as to why they win this
championship. It's like the flu game.
Yeah.
It was a little bit like that.
Even though you hit your owner, it is not over. Is that your poetic?
That's the poetry.
There you go.
I like that.
Poetry.
Is that a
poetry. I don't know. I was going to say that, but I was like, I'm definitely going to get this word wrong. We've got much more to come here on Inside the Playoffs. That guy right there dominated this past weekend at the Roval. The second time we've seen that happen in the playoffs. We're going to talk about that. And what a cute victory celebration as well for Kyle Larson.
Larson up top.
That's an ass kicking. Domination, boys.
We on the sound. We on the lockstep and we riding. Whole team grinding.
Coming to the line.
Yeah.
We won. Great race, Larson. Oh, yeah. Good job, guys.
That was all Kyle Larson.
Brickyard 400, baby. Hell yeah. Proud of you, 5 team.
Kyle Larson absolutely dominates this race. It's Larson.
That was fun.
Breaking news, Kyle Larson's pretty good at this racing thing.
Not bad.
We're all learning that.
Yeah, slowly learning this. Winning the race, of course, at the Roval this past weekend. Here's where the other playoff drivers finished. And I feel like this is really interesting to me because I feel like we've talked many, many weeks about playoff drivers having issues, having poor finishes. And now you see we've got the majority of them were in the top 15 at that race, which I think we're starting to see is that cream rising to the top.
Yeah, these guys are the best guys in NASCAR Cup Series racing right now, and they're showing you why. When it mattered most, they all rose to the occasion, not only the drivers, but the crews and the guys and girls back at the shop making fast race cars. And Kyle Larson is still the best driver on the planet, Parker. I mean, that's just is what it is.
He's incredible. And I know we always talk about him and talk about the talent level and that sort of thing, but I think there's occasionally times where we get to see it visually, right? And this past weekend, there was a moment that really visually stuck out to me, and that was his pass on A.J. Allmendinger right here into turn 7. He has the rear tires locked up and drifts into that corner for the the lead at a NASCAR Cup Series race. I'm sorry, but nobody does that.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Nobody does that. Just Kyle Larson.
For people who might not understand, what would happen if somebody besides Kyle Larson tried to make that move?
It's just the level of commitment. It is the level of ability to put the car in a position that's compromising but not slow down, not put yourself where you're going to hit the other car. It's just all these factors that when you talk about what he does well, and there's so many things he does well, and there's so few weaknesses in his game. But right there, those are the moments that AJ's in that car going, damn. That's pretty good. And like I've been there. I've raced against the guy, and I've watched him go by me and had an existential crisis of like, I can't do that. Like, how does he do that? And so those are just the things that, like, the reason that they dominate races occasionally is when Cliff Daniels and that 5-team are on it, then you have a driver like that can do things that a lot of others can't. It lines up not to just great performances, but dominating performances like we saw this weekend. And it's just those little moments like that, though, just stick out to me as a driver to say, this guy's incredible. And we get to see it visually occasionally, and it's just like that's what makes him Kyle Larson.
I think the key for the other teams to chasing Kyle Larson is to keep enough pressure on them that they're uncomfortable. And Kyle Larson's signature is, I'm going to go out with so much firepower that I'm going to get you uncomfortable. I'm going to make you, whatever your strength is, when we look at all the other drivers, you feel like you have to be better to keep up. So it's who pushes who into a mistake first.
I think you got the 22 right there. Like, Christopher Bell finished second. Right, he's been perennial finishing second. It seems like, but no one ever talks about him. And Kyle has said it before. Christopher is as good as me, if not better. Those words have come out of his mouth, and he does at these races that we're coming up to applies a lot of pressure. Vegas, he's always fast at. He's won at Miami, so he knows how to get to the Final Four. And if someone like Christopher can just hang around and keep applying that pressure you're talking about.
Yeah.
Kyle has been known to step over that line and put himself in a bad situation.
Well, I do think Christopher Bell's probably the most overlooked and underappreciated driver. I think his raw talent is up there with Kyle Larson's. But another driver that I think that's been overlooked in this entire year, which is hard to believe, but he's the most popular guy in the sport, and that's Chase Elliott. It's only been one win, but it's been an absolute consistent year. Signature of consistency. That's really been his playoffs. He's been very quiet, been very good or good enough in every round. The question for me is, can Chase Elliott and the 9-team advance being consistent, or do they have to win races in this next round?
They need to make it
I don't
flashy.
think they physically have to win, but I think they have to be in the winning battle, right? You just can't run fifth. You can run second because you got beat on the foul restart, or I have to see like raw winning speed out of the 9, because I love everything else I'm seeing out of them. I just don't know, as you said, right? We're in the round 8. As it squeezes together, you have to get better and better and better and better.
But if consistency is going to work for them, it comes down to also stage points. That's what it's going to take. So it means consistently, qualifying well, running up front the entirety of the time, making the right choices under strategy when stage points are on offer. Because if you're not going to go out there and be flashy in this round of 8, then you've got to just consistently score points, and that means in the stages as well, because that's what it's going to take. That's what they've done, as you put it. They've been probably one of the most consistent teams of the season. It's been incredible to watch. It's just there's not that flashiness. And maybe they might have to find a little flashiness to get to the championship 4.
I think it's interesting because you got Kyle Larson or anybody of these 8 guys. If someone wins Vegas and then they're in a situation to win Homestead, it changes so much because now one driver has won 2. If playoff guys don't win the first 2 races, it changes how you can race because now consistency is going to be pulled in because now there's 2 guys that are going to make it.
Chase Elliott's going to need a little flashiness like Shannon's suit.
Yeah,
that's what
he's a little light
have to find.
Little light switch. But flashy, only 2 drivers that are in the round of 8 have actually won races at this point, and one of those is Joey Logano, who quite frankly might not have been in the round of 8. Okay, we digress though. We're going to talk about Xfinity Series because we talk a lot about the Cup Series obviously on this show, but the Xfinity Series was also in a cutoff race this past weekend at the Roval. Here are the 8 guys who have transferred on to the round of 8 competing for a championship. However, we were about, 20 inches, 24 inches away from this looking very, very different, and that was with Parker Kligerman. So Parker Kligerman was leading the final 9 laps of this race as we take a look at this. And then this happens, a car goes under the barrier, and the caution comes out, but the caution comes out right before you took the white flag. I'm going to hand it over to you.
I was hoping we talked long enough in this segment that we couldn't get this in, so I didn't want to relive it once again. But no, it was that was brutal, right? People have asked me, it was so close that for those first 30 seconds afterwards, even my spotter, Brandon McReynolds, came on and said, you should be the winner. For about 30 seconds, I felt what it was like to win an Xfinity Series race. I felt what it's like to win in a must-win position, to rise up and put the performance we had and get it done. But obviously that was not the case. We missed it by a foot or wherever it was to get to the white flag. The thing I take solace in, though, was this was the best 10 laps I've ever driven in my entire life. In the most intense pressure I've ever felt, which I absolutely love. But, we're not faster than Sam Mayer, but when we got to the lead, I just made the decision that I had to find more. I told myself down the straightaway one time, you got to find more, and you can't you just got to find a way to win this race. And it felt like coming off the final chicane there to the white flag, I looked back and I saw I had a big enough gap, and I was like, we've done it. Even if it goes green, we've done it. Then the yellow comes out, and I'm like, we did it. No, we didn't. So brutal, but you know what? Great performance.
Steve, it's kind of like that Ford versus Ferrari movie. The guy did everything he was supposed to do, won the race. He's like, oh, no, hang on. We're going to make this look really cool.
Yep.
And then
Then it went.
Then he didn't win.
Well, so just like the 48, I'll be the rules guy. So here's the rule.
Thank you.
If the caution comes out before the leader receives the white flag, we go into NASCAR overtime. We saw the car into the tires. There's no question it should have been a yellow. The frustration is it took 15 or 20 seconds to throw the yellow. It should have never even been that close. I feel bad for Parker because I think the caution should have easily come out well before it did. Mm-hmm. Now, NASCAR was in the right, and we proved it was all fine. But so take me through that. 30 seconds, you think you're the winner. But then for the fans watching, now you have to go do a 2-lap shootout for a car, which, by the way, he should have passed you laps before that. The drive you put on to hold Sam Mayer behind you was more than impressive because I thought he had a faster car. And so how do you refocus? How do you say, okay, we didn't win in what is a 5 or 6 minute yellow, what is the only real timeout in racing? How do you get focused back at the task at hand?
Well, first of all, I wasn't surprised because I've seen this enough from the TV side and seen people's hearts ripped out like that. So I was, able to kind of put aside. I had teared up a little bit, so I had to wipe my face a little bit. And refocus, and then it came, for a driver, it comes down to that decision of, okay, where do I want to be on the restart, right? And you start playing through the scenarios, and you start getting yourself back in the zone, into the idea of like, okay, I've got to lock in, I've got to figure out what I want to do. I kind of early on chose I wanted the outside. Even though I think a lot of my team wanted me to take the inside and protect, I felt like that was the better spot to restart. And I was like, just nail this restart and give yourself a chance, right? And we nailed that restart. I tried. So through 3 and 4, we door checked each other twice. And off of 4, you can actually see I tried to shove him in the grass, which was a little dirty. But I needed a gap. I needed a gap. I only got a car length. So into 7, I made the choice to protect. It wasn't enough. But I was happy that we nailed the restart. We gave ourselves a chance. And at the end of the day, as I said, that performance was one of my best ever, and that's all I can sort of look back at and say, at least kind of like Alex Bowman, I did what I could in that race car and it just came up a little short.
All right, that's the last that we're going to ask you about it.
Thank you. Listen, I need to move on. I got to go get trophy.
We've
got to move on as well. Another week, another top 5, Christopher Bell. He finished a quiet second at the Roval. He's going to be here in just a second. Stick around. 3 times this season. Count it 3 times. The 20 car of Christopher Bell has made the trip to victory lane. Look at that smile. Charlotte, that was one. Phoenix was another. And then, of course, Loudon the Lobster got to take that home. There he is right there. This past weekend, he recorded a second-place finish at the Charlotte Roval. So here's his playoff stats so far. He's got 5 top 10s, average finish of 6.3. 211 points, and the reason that they're all in yellow is because he leads the way in all those categories. Not too shabby. Christopher Bell here with us right now. Listen, I'm going to say this word, and I was told that maybe drivers don't like it that much, but you're kind of quietly getting it done, and I think Parker was like, well, likes to say we do it quietly.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah?
I'm okay with
that. All right. I'm just making sure.
Do you agree with that, though? Is there sort of like a, hey, like we're flying under the radar, we're getting this done, and then we're going to do what we got to do?
Yeah, so I completely agree with all of that. And, the way that the points have been structured, we did a really good job through the regular season accumulating the bonus points. And then that's put us in a position to just kind of lay low, right? And obviously we would love to be in position to win races. And there were a couple places where I felt like wins got away. Kansas specifically, I thought we were really good. Bristol, I expected us to be a little bit stronger, but we were able to walk out of there with a solid finish. And all in all, the playoffs have just kind of been that quiet consistency for us. I want to
go just real quick on Kansas. You mentioned giving that one away because you hit the wall twice in that one. And you were so fast. I know we talked afterwards, and I got to listen to you and Adam Stevens, your crew chief, talking, and you were like, "Hey man, that's on me." Like, how do you put that aside and then continue the performance you've had in the playoffs after a day like that, where you were by far the dominant car, but it was hitting the wall that kind of took you out of it?
Yeah, so Parker, I want to go back to Kansas.
Okay,
because
let's go.
There's 267 laps, right? So times that by 2, I don't even know, over 500 corners, right? And I hit the wall twice out of 500 times. I'm sure that some people hit the wall way more than twice, but the 2 times I did it was unfortunately in very, very important moments of the race. So that was a bummer. We gave up a lot of points, and fortunately we were able to squeak out of it. We got a lucky break at Talladega to gain those points back whenever we missed the wreck, and we were able to advance out of that round. But yeah, certainly Kansas was a great place for us, and we knew leaving there that we had a good buffer, and Talladega, like, you know, frankly, it's just a dice roll, and we got fortunate enough to miss the wreck. So yeah, I think we got away with one at Kansas.
You guys say quiet, but hang on, I got some notes for you.
Okay, I have been quiet this year. I will agree with that. But I go back to 2022. That was anything but quiet, and it was still the same thing.
I don't think it's been very quiet. So since 2022, his playoff rankings, wins, he's tied for second. Top 5s, he has 12, and that's your first there. You're tied for first with 17 top 10s, and you're third with 774 laps led just in this round.
That's pretty good.
We're testing you later. There's a test
wow, I got to remember all those numbers.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got a guy. So I say that to say, like, this round, and you know how to get to the Final Four, it feels like you're very comfortable in this round.
Yeah, the round of 8 is always the safe round, and I think the majority of the competitive cars will say that, right? Everyone dreads the round of 12 with Talladega in it. You got the Charlotte Road Course, and even this year, the round of 16, we had Watkins Glen in Bristol with the tire being unknown. So those first 2 rounds were daunting. They were very scary as a competitor, because you know that if you just go to a normal racetrack, you know the cream's going to rise to the top, and I think that's why the majority of the guys feel better about the round of 8, because we know it's in our hands, and if we go out there and perform like we're capable of, we should be able to advance.
That's interesting, because we've been sitting here talking about how the pressure's mounting. It's the round of 8. It's the top of the top. But that's a really interesting perspective, because we've had such aggressive tracks where anything can happen. Now you guys are in control, and maybe it is a little bit calmer. Are there certain like which are the tracks in this round that you go, this is mine? Or are they all of them?
I mean, I feel like we're capable of scoring points at all of them, which is super important. But honestly, I've won at Homestead and I've won at Martinsville. But those are 2 of the racetracks that I would say are less than Vegas. You know, Vegas, I haven't won it yet, but I feel like that's one of our best tracks, and definitely a place where we're capable of competing for the win. And I think that first Vegas win is right around the corner.
So I'm curious, and not to be a downer for a second, because you have been successful across almost every type of track. I was looking at some stats, Maba, and I was like, I'm kind of blown away. And you say quiet, but I mean, what surprised me about you, and we were talking about Kyle Larson earlier, and how good he is and what makes him so good. And I was like, Christopher Bell is that level of talent. And you show it in that you have been successful at road courses, short tracks, 1.5 mile speedways. So when you look at this round and you think about what the 20 team is, what's that weakness? What's the thing that you're like, I got to do this better, we have to do this better than we're doing right now if we want to win this championship?
So we have a glaring weakness, and I think it's more on myself than the team. But for whatever reason, long run at Homestead, that has been my Achilles heel since I have got into the sport. And, you know, Homestead, it ripped my heart out for 2 years in the Xfinity Series with the championship race there and doing so well. And we weren't able to figure out the long run at Homestead in the Xfinity car. And then through the first 2 stages last year in the Cup race, it still wasn't there. And fortunately, we had short runs to close it out. So that's one thing that we know we have to improve on if if we're going to have a banner day at Homestead.
And that's surprising, because it's a place that like lines up your background, running the wall, tire wear, the dirt background.
Like, I love going to.
So how do you what do you focus on to fix? Like,
I mean, I've trust me, Homestead has been the most important track.
He's like, if I knew, I would be doing it already.
Like, how do you do it?
Yeah, we're. I promise you I'm not going back with the same mentality that I've been there the last couple of years, but I've said the same thing every time I've gone there. So fortunately last year it worked out where we had relatively short runs at the end, and we're super fast and able to win. So just whatever it is, myself, and I haven't found the comfort level that I need in the car to be successful on the long runs at Homestead, and that's what we're working on.
So that's your Achilles heel, but one thing that is always nice to have in your back pocket is a fast pit crew.
We have that now.
You have one of the best pit crews, if not the best pit crew on pit road.
So let the yellow come.
Yeah, so like when you,
yellow come.
He's like, yeah, we can get down pit road anytime.
anytime, guys.
So like when you know that must change your mentality because you don't feel like as a driver you got to pick up every spot on the track because you got those boys down on pit road that are getting it done.
Man, it is such a huge part of what we do, and I think the pit crews are really underrated as far as a component of the race team. And since my adventure in the Cup Series, I've been on both sides of winning on pit road and losing on pit road, and it really controls the outcome of the race. And you know, all the driver gets the praise and the beat down, but the pit crew, I mean, it's pretty close to a 50-50 split on weekend performance and weekend results of you know, if you have a bad pit crew, it's going to be tough to have a good result out of it.
There's no better feeling when your pit crew picks you up some spots.
Yeah, like
it's like free spots. Thank you very much. It's like hitting black in Vegas on the roulette. It's like, nailed it. Thank you.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that. Were you just like rolling the dice? Is that what you?
Yeah, I just did a little rolling the dice.
We're gonna roll the dice. In the next segment. That's right. We like games here. You ready? We're going to play a little game when we get back. Jordan Bianchi's going to be here as well. And Seabell's going to stick around to have a little roll the dice. If you are looking for Steve Letarte this weekend, this is where you can find him. Saturday, practice and qualifying on the USA Network, and then Sunday, we have the race at Las Vegas on the big network, NBC. The round of 8, kicking that off out in Las Vegas. Maybe a little gambling too on the side, like in the casinos.
Oh, it's a great town to go hang out in.
Yeah, just a show, just have a good time.
Gamble, Steve?
Perhaps.
You dabble? Okay.
A little bit.
Yeah.
All right, so what is the pressure to kick off this round with a win? Well, Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic has some insight in this week's Insider's Insider.
Thanks, Shannon. Hitting it big in Las Vegas carries significant championship implications. 4 times in the last 8 years, the driver who's won the first race in this round has gone on to win the championship. That's not a coincidence. By winning this race, locks yourself into the championship 4, and it gives your team more opportunity to hone their car and make it better for Phoenix these next few weeks. All the while, the competition has to worry about running well at Homestead and Martinsville. You give crew chiefs an advantage, you give them more time, they're going to find more speed. So winning on Sunday is going to give you a leg up on the competition. On the subject of crew chiefs, let's give a nod to Billy Scott, the crew chief for Tyler Reddick. A week ago, Reddick was involved in a crash at the Roval. It looked like he was going to fall out of the playoffs. Billy Scott managed that situation very well, made adjustments to Reddick's car, made it better, and put his driver in a position to advance. Reddick rallied back to finish 11th, and so impressed was Michael Jordan sitting on the pit box that afterwards he said to me that team grinded and Billy Scott did an unbelievable job. Code words. You're going to hear a lot of code words this week at Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a low tire wear track, which means it opens up the playbook for what crew chiefs can do in terms of strategy. 2 tires, 4 tires, not pitting, or sometimes even fuel only. It's all there for crew chiefs to decide to do, but they don't want the competition to know what they're going to do, so they devise code words, different words that mean different things that they will say over the radio, and only their driver knows what they mean. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but it's an important thing to pay attention to because you're going to be hearing a lot of them on Sunday. That's my insider thoughts for Vegas. Back to you, Shannon.
Is that velvet? Is that velvet that we're wearing?
He always has.
He's a little velvet.
I touched it. It's soft galore, I believe.
It is. 8 wins for playoff drivers at Las Vegas, 35 top 5s. All of those laps led. Take a look at that. That's the numbers, inside the numbers for the Las Vegas Motor Speedway with the 8 drivers that remain in the playoffs. I want to talk about something that Jordan just said, though, with code words. Not a fan?
Get me going.
Why? You never use code words
This
ever?
stuff's hard enough. As it is. Like, let's make it more complicated. I'm not going to tell you, Christopher, what exactly I want you to do. I'm going to say some mythical word that you're supposed to see on a chart that I've put in the car. Dale and I had some pretty trick code words. If I wanted him to pit, I said pit. And if I wanted to change 4 tires, I said 4 tires. It's some pretty creative stuff.
Have you used code words before?
I've used them a little bit. I'm not a fan either.
No?
Do you like code?
I've gotten screwed up with code words many times.
Wait,
That's what I'm saying. There's my evidence.
Wait a second. Roll the clip.
Oh, we have some.
Found it?
All right,
Oh, my gosh.
It'll be lemon lime here. Lemon lime, copy. Whoa, what was that?
What are you talking about?
Oh, dude, you're supposed to come.
Are you lying to me?
No.
Lemon lime is pit under green.
All right.
You know what? Hey,
We were not all right. We were not all right.
That's a great point, though.
Yeah.
Like,
You know what would
it's
have
your
cleared that
point.
up? If you'd have said, you know what, just pit.
Hey, we're leading this race. Pit.
I hope
So, hey,
Jason
so-
Ratcliffe watches this.
Oh, yeah, Ratcliffe will be on me.
We'll send the clip,
let's talk
Dylan.
about the information, though. So code words are one thing. How about, like, green flag pit stops? Do you want to know 5 laps before you have to pit and, like, mentally get ready for a pit entry, or just tell you the lap you're coming?
No, that's not a big deal to me because they'll normally give me a heads up, or they don't even have to give you a heads up. You know, after you've run X amount of laps that you're getting close to your window. And then, the advantage or disadvantage of being the first guy to pit road or blocking a guy, following them in, I feel like that's pretty standard.
2 and 4, you just whatever they say, or do you want to voice
So
your
that
opinion?
I have to know that for sure. And whenever we're coming down pit road, if it is like a judgment call, I'll be like, hey, Adam, 2 or 4, 2 or 4. He'd be like, I'll tell you, don't worry. So I do like to know that more quicker than he tells me.
Right.
It's like lemon lime.
You don't want to lock them up in the box and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
that's
so
right.
I can tell you exactly what happened there. So the call was lemon lime, obviously, and Gatorade flavors was my code word, and it said pit under green, specifically pit under green, and we were under yellow. So I stayed out. Well, on Jason's sheet, it said Gatorade flavors was pit. Period. No, not pit under green. So
chart wasn't correct.
That's right.
So not only did you have code words, but then we have the chart, which comes down to who put that in there.
That's right.
Come on.
I'm okay with code words.
Just
I think they're
pit.
kind of cute. When we have one pizza, Oreo, no? Okay. But we will probably see strategy this weekend, no? Is Vegas like a big strategy place?
One of the races that I remember ever is 2 tires when I should have took 4 and got run down by 4 tires and beat. It's a track where tires, while they do add grip, they aren't as important as other racetracks. So that opens the playbook for crew chiefs, whether it's 2 tires or 4 tires, some fuel strategy, maybe not pit. For a guy like you, I mean, the most nerve-wracking part is if we have a lot of cautions, we'll kind of get multiple groups, like maybe Group A, Group B, Group
that's
C.
the worst.
I figured it was because, even if people ask at TV, well, which is going to work out? I'm like, well, I don't know. We're going to have to wait to see where the cautions fall. From behind the wheel, it's going to be nerve-wracking. I mean, you can only race with the group that you kind of have like tires with.
Yeah, so you go to a place like Homestead, and the track position is what it is. It's very hard to flip the track position because if the yellow comes out, you put tires on. And at Las Vegas, the option for 2 tires, the option for staying out is there. So the track position is constantly under rotating, you're always going to get it flipped if the yellow flags keep falling.
I was thinking back to Michigan, and when it flipped over there, and a lot of you leading cars had to come through the field. There was a big wreck, and a lot of you were taken out. And it was like, that's the danger it puts you in because
nerves.
you end up so far back in the pack where there's so much that can happen.
So I've got we say PSG. Please stay green. That's our word. PSG.
It's code right there.
Yeah.
That's
a
an
code?
acronym. That's not a code. Let's not confuse
That's a big
the two.
word, a little analog acronym.
He has
You'll
the
hear that on the
sweater
Xfinity
for
radio
someone to
every now and
read
then.
leather-bound books.
I like
Wait,
that.
we're gonna help you get ready for Vegas a little early. You ready?
Ooh,
Get the
yeah.
little
All right.
dice. Are you a dice man?
I have perhaps rolled a few.
Yeah,
I
a couple. Okay, so roll the dice, and we have some trivia questions. Christopher will go first. Oh wait.
It's gone.
I hope
it's gone.
Well done.
I hope
What are you talking about? 6.
things work out better for you this weekend. Christopher, you're going to go. He did 6. Okay, how many different tracks are located within the Las Vegas Motor Speedway?
We've got inside the track or like on the campus?
I guess within the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Yeah, within the campus.
Okay, so the short track, the dirt track, the quarter mile, the big track, that's 4. And there might be a road course. So I'm gonna say 5.
We've got 9. What? Super Speedway, drag strip, bull ring, dirt track, go-kart track, inside road course, outside road course, off-road course, exotic
There's the outside
course.
parking lot road courses that gets everyone because there's so many tracks there.
I thought I was doing good.
I blame all the driving experience.
Who knew? Okay, we'll just go.
I don't dare roll it again.
In the March race, only 2 of the current playoff drivers finished worse than 10. Who were they? I'm going
Who's
Steve.
up?
Steve.
Oh, me?
Oh, I can.
Worse than 10th?
Yeah.
Joey Logano. And Christopher Bell.
Christopher Bell was one of them. Joey Logano was
Sounded
not.
very confident.
Chase Elliott was 12th. It was Chase and it was Christopher. Okay, if a driver wins stage 2, Parker, he is more likely or less likely to win the race at Las Vegas.
I got this one.
More likely because I looked at the stats.
10 of the last 14 times.
Yep, thank you.
Okay,
I
well,
didn't even need the stats.
you win.
Mamba?
You win.
I was
seen my
prepped
stats.
for that
You
one.
win. How many races have been affected by rain at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Christopher? I do.
I have no earthly idea.
No, just
Probably
guess.
not many. I would say under 5. Let's go 4.
Okay, 1. 2000 was the
Not
only
many.
Cup race shortened by rain. Jeff Burton won. Las Vegas only averages 5. Thank you, Kelly Hamilton, for that. Averages 5 inches of rainfall per year. But didn't we have snow?
We had wind.
Awful.
I also didn't pack my rain jacket this week. So-
We had snow, though.
You want to race in
snow
Vegas
be
in the rain, right? Or not Vegas, Phoenix.
Phoenix in the
Yep.
rain.
Precipitation.
Phoenix in the rain.
Kyle Larson has won the last 2 races at Las Vegas. Only one driver in NASCAR history has won 3 straight. Who is it? You know this.
Jimmy Johnson.
That's right. 2005, 2006,
Remember that
2007.
2-tire, 4-tire call?
Yeah.
Yeah, only one race. Okay, Parker, last one. Come on, off the top
I knew
rope.
all the other ones.
When was the first NASCAR Cup Series race ran in Las Vegas?
Oh, the old track. 2000.
1955. You were just very close.
I'm just off by a year or two. Just a decade or two, sorry. Yeah.
It was
I
close.
blame stats for that.
That is
close.
I didn't look at that part.
Christopher, thank you for being here.
Thank
Good
you guys
luck
for
this
having me.
weekend and getting the championship this year and, celebrating.
Exciting time. Have fun out west.
Best of luck, bud.
Good luck with the here. We'll let you
here.
take this as a parting
Oh,
gift.
yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Taking the
Use
dice.
that wisely.
We'll be right back. As we get ready to kick off the round of 8, these are the 4 drivers in the round of 8 who have won championships in the past. You got Joey with 2, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, and Ryan Blaney, who, of course, is the defending champion. These are the 4 drivers who are looking to get their very first. Denny Hamlin on the list again, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and I'm sorry.
I caught the chuckle.
I'm
Just for the
sorry.
record, if you put 54 career wins underneath my name,
Listen,
I'd be okay with whatever the next stat was.
3 Daytona 500s and a team and all that stuff. I'm always on the Denny bandwagon. I want him to win a championship more than anything. But this is a very strong round of 8.
It's an amazing group because we talked a lot about the chaos in the first 2 rounds, the different tracks and what could happen. And we got that in the races and we got the storylines. But in the end, we also received what I think the 8 best drivers could be.
Yeah, this is what you want. You have some antagonists, you have some protagonists, you have everything in there.
Those are fancy
Big
words. Yeah.
I caught everybody
Yeah,
out there.
I
You
was
see
like,
that?
whoa.
These glasses have a little bit of wisdom in them, right? It's not just for looks, America. So I think it's going to be very fun.
And I think that's a great point, Steve, that with all the chaos and the wild card races we had, you still had the cream rise to the top.
Yeah.
And that's just, this is the best drivers and teams that we could assemble for the round of 8 right now in the NASCAR Cup Series in 2024. And you have past champions, you have some looking for that first championship with a ton of wins, and others who look like could be potential champions for the rest of their career.
And the 8 drivers know it.
Yeah.
When they look around, they're like, oh boy.
Or the froth rising to the top if you're fancy like Mamba. We're going to go through the race, frothy. We're going to go through the racetracks, and I want you guys to tell me who you think has to have a good showing at each. Let's start with Las Vegas up this weekend. What do you think?
Joey Logano.
Okay.
This is a place that they typically run well as a whole, Team Penske. He's won here multiple times, so this is a place he's got to really show out.
Denny Hamlin for me. And not really performance-wise, other than it's been a messy playoffs at times. I just want to see the 11 team we know is capable of the performance that we've seen out of them at times, and to just clean it up. If they can have a clean, good performance like we saw at Bristol in the playoffs, I think that sets them into a great round of 8.
Are you all sitting down?
Yes.
Kyle Larson.
Oh.
I know he's leading. I know he came off the big win. Everything's great for Kyle Larson. He started every round behind.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to start this round. We just talked about how great the lineup of drivers are. I know Larson should be the favorite, but don't start kind of from the back.
We saw what happened at Kansas after he dominated at Bristol. Not the best. Okay, so let's talk about Homestead Miami Speedway. When we head down there, Mamba, who has to be good?
Give me the reigning champ, YRB, Ryan Blaney. So this is where the run really started for him last year. The year before, he was dominant, looked like he was going to win, and kind of made a little bit of a mistake, downshifted, and took that away. But Homestead for him is really important.
William Byron, for no other reason than this is the place that he could lock himself into the championship for. I view Homestead Miami as the place. So for William Byron, the 24 team, this is an important race.
To lock in, you're going to have to beat my guy, Tyler Reddick. He's won Xfinity Series championships, run on the wall at Miami. It's a track he's known for. He needs to have a big day.
Martinsville.
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin.
If Denny Hamlin, this is probably just for the mere fact that it has been a messy playoffs for him. and they haven't seemed to really get it going. If there's one place that gets him going, is Martinsville, and he can be.
Who's that right there?
Oh, that's a good-looking guy right there.
my gosh.
Paul Swan, you see Paul
Put that
Swan's
there.
mustache? Golly, Paul. Denny Hamlin, he's got to be fast at Martinsville, get some dogs in him.
He's going to have to beat my guy, Chase Elliott, who, if he's going to keep this consistency going and that's all he's going to rely on to get to Championship 4, then it's going to come down to Martinsville. He's got to perform.
That's how he
New
always does
life, new chance. Joey Logano, the 22 car, short track man.
You know what's interesting is we just had a gentleman that was sitting in that seat right there that we said was quietly getting it done, and not one of you mentioned.
No, we're not.
Whoa, that's a different question.
Okay, all right.
He's been great.
Oh, okay.
And he came on the show, so he's
Whoa.
Yeah.
She's trying to get us in trouble.
These are the 4 drivers that were eliminated from the playoffs. And yes, these are the 4 drivers who will no longer be competing. Let's remind you what Chase Elliott said a couple of years ago when he had to go home.
Merry off season and a happy Christmas.
All right, so we're gonna have a merry off season and a happy Christmas.
He was
They're ready to go.
saying that to Kevin Harvick. He said, "See you later, but guy."
That's it. Okay, so we've put together what our drivers that are going home might be doing in their Merry Christmas, happy off season, or however that goes. Daniel Suarez,
I don't know.
Laundry.
Listen.
Okay.
Listen.
He's married now.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing the laundry, guys. I think he might be headed back to Brazil where he had his wedding and we had a good time.
Maybe hanging
Should be
out on the
celebrating.
beach.
Great year. Made the playoffs.
That's
Won a
right.
race. Something to build on.
All right, well, Chase, oh.
He's not gonna be smiling. I don't think that's gonna be.
I have twins. I smiled all the time.
That's gonna be a lot of work.
It looks like he's been up for a while.
Yeah, sleep. Austin Cindric will be. Oh well.
He's also not doing this.
That's not nice.
I think he plays that.
That's not even an edited picture. That's actually.
That's reality.
That
Yeah.
is true.
Okay, Alex Bowman. He's going to be eating so that he can gain the weight that he lost during the Roval.
Come on.
Too soon.
I disagree with
That's
this.
for somebody who's been in trouble in NASCAR before.
That wasn't
I
our
can't pick on
idea,
him, Fred.
Alex.
Alex is
Sorry,
gonna be on a
buddy.
boat.
Parker, let's see what you're going to be doing.
Ooh,
I don't
whoa,
want to.
Oh no!
Parker?
No.
What? What is that?
Shuffleboard.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at least it looks like it's a warm place. I'm happy. There we go. Definitely the beach. That I plan on.
Yeah,
That must
Just
be
missing about like 35 drinks.
That must have been when you were. That
Empty.
must have been when he was vacationing in Europe for the summer.
I summered in Europe, you know.
Oh, you
There you
summoned
go.
him.
We'd like to hang out, but we have a flight to catch.
That's right. Well, you
Not
guys have
everyone's
fun in
going
Las
to
Vegas.
but we are.
Good luck. Good luck this weekend. We'll see you back next week.
Yeah, I'll be here, and he's gonna be a degenerate this weekend. So hang around, Steve.
We can't wait to hear
We're
your
gonna come
story.
back.
I resemble that remark.
Thank you for being here for another week inside the playoffs. We'll see you next Thursday right here.